20-30 people, so this is awesome. But we love the healers, love the healers. Who knows what the title of this panel is from? Yes, yes. I love Flat Pack, right? He's staring, I'm not taking advice from a cartoon dog. We are taking advice from a cartoon dog. So to start off, we found a video that we absolutely love that really exemplified Bluey as a parent. We see, oh, video cannot be loaded. Of course not. Thanks. Do we have audio through here or not? Captain, do we have audio coming through? I plugged in my HDMI and it's not doing anything. What?
You can barely hear it.
No, that was. I don't even know where my microphone is. Where my speaker is.
It's a cartoon that children love. Right, but it doesn't I know a lot of people that don't have any tweet. Not as much as I
Can we hear this at all? No. All right. All right. Well, that was sad. He goes there. I think his favorite part. He says, so he says, Bluey is not a cartoon for kids. It's a show that kids love, but it is a show for parents. My kids love Miss Rachel. My kids love Blippi. And I love them too for different reasons. I love the joy that my kids feel when they watch it and they learn, but Miss Rachel has never made me cry. Where Bluey has had me sobbing on the couch, clutching my children while it heals my inner child. You go. Yes, we feel you. And I wish it would actually play when we could hear it. Sad face. All right, but we do want to talk about how as parents has Bluey really impacted us. Next slide. Yes. Yeah. So we've recently watched through in preparation basically all of Bluey, which is it's about 4 hours per season. We have 3-ish seasons. It's a lot of Bluey, and that's okay. The kids went to bed and were like, so what are we going to do tonight? Watch Bluey and eat ice cream? Yes, we are! I think the biggest thing, the biggest first lesson of all of it, be present. Right? Everything in Bluey is, the Bandit and Chili and even some of the other girls are just so involved and present and there, and we have some episodes where, Bandit's up there watching his phone and whatever, but when they're ready to play, they are playing hard and they are fully immersed in what they're playing.
Yeah, you'll see that he wants to watch his cricket game. He's on his phone when he's tired, but when they're actually in the game, the phones are put away. And I think that's something that all of us parents can appreciate and implement in our parenting.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is one I've definitely tried to do a lot, right? My kids are people. My kids need to know that I'm human. I'm not above mistakes. When I've done something wrong, it's my job to say I'm sorry. And I love seeing when Bandit and Chili do that, right? Yoga ball, they're playing on the yoga ball, and he's boing, 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 it goes over there, right? And at the very end, it's like, that was too rough, and Bandit gets down. And I think that's really key as well. He wasn't just like, well, I'm sorry that hurt you. Right? No, he gets down. I'm really sorry. And then they move on. Right? And I think showing that is so great, and really making that up. In Danville, they do the same thing, right? When they realize how they've been just steamrolling over bingo, both Bandit and Chili get down. I'm sorry, Nico. You're right. We did screw up. We aren't, like, they exemplify their imperfection and are willing to say that to their kids.
And I just want to do a note. So, like, we have all these different things that we've learned from watching Bluey. But I was talking to some friends and saying, you wish that you were more like Bandit, huh, as a dad. And Spencer's like, I think all of us wish we were more like Bandit. So he's a great role model for us. And so that's why there's so many lessons. And I hope at the end I'll have some time for you guys to bring up any lessons that we have missed, because I'm sure there is plenty more.
For sure. We had to condense to what we could. There's over 10 hours of Bluey. It's awesome. Next, I like this. Don't be afraid to be silly for your kids. And I think this is part of being present, being in the game, and being totally okay with that. Captain or whoever, are we okay to use these 3 seats? They're marked purple, or is that like no touchy? We have 3 seats up here. I see 5 seats over here. I see 6 seats over here, 2 seats over here. People still coming in, they're still stuffed. You just have to be willing to sit up at front. We don't spit too far. No, but they're like I said, they're fully in the game. And I think Pirates is a really good one because they actually show him learning to be okay with that even when someone else can see. Right, Chili's over there, maybe the blue whale is embarrassed because of the other blue whale.
Same thing with the episode Octopus. Bandit is being a little bit crazy. His eyes go wide in the cartoon. Right? And he's okay doing that, but you find that Chloe's dad, he doesn't play that way, and it ends up being, it's fine that he doesn't. He's his own type of dad, but it's great when we can be silly and we can do our own level of silly, even if we're not the level of Bandit.
Yes. Giving each other a break. Sheepdog, I think, showed this so great. Chili's at home all day with the kids. Bandit comes home. Hi, honey, I'm home. I need 20 minutes where no one bothers me. And he just doesn't. There's no, well, I really need to eat something. I really need to put my feet up. I've been at work all day. She needs me and I need to do that right now. And I know that's not like a parenting thing as much, but it was like, you can't parent when you're not at your 100%. When you need that break, you need that break, right? So I think showing that I thought was also really good.
There's a lot of things, not just with parents, but you find how to be a good uncle, a good neighbor, a good spouse. So there's lots of other lessons that are tied in when you're dealing with children. All of it matters.
True that. Do you want to talk about this one? Say yes.
So I feel like even though Bandit is willing to do all the games, oftentimes at the very beginning of the episode, they're like, let's play horsey ride, or whatever the game is. And Bandit's response isn't, yeah, let's do it. It's, oh, not horsey ride again. So he really doesn't want to play it, just like we don't want to get down and play Barbies or whatever it is with our kids. It's not particularly fun for us, but if you can make it fun by just being engaged and getting down to that like childhood state with your kids. So even though he might want to say no, you're saying yes. He was down on his hands and knees on the hard wood and going, ow, ow, ow. Not particularly fun, but he said yes to it, and I think that's a great thing. You want to say no, but say yes when you can.
I mean, little Easter egg, it hurt him so much calling on there, he actually lost his color for a couple of frames. Pause at the right place, he loses all his lines, it's great. And I think actually really interesting here, Bluey episodes, if we actually think about content, are 6 minutes long, 5 minutes long. He said yes and played the game for 5 minutes. That's what it took, right? And now the kid was seen and the kids' needs were met for 5 minutes. Now go back to work, right? Yoga Ball, kind of the same thing, right? He's wanting to say, no, I'm working from home today. I have to get the work done, Yes, we'll play Raiders for 4 minutes. And then I'm going back to work, but I got the time with my kid. I thought that was great. Yeah, boring stuff matters. Get the sunscreen, make sure everyone's ready, make sure the diaper bag's actually packed up. This is one I've actually had to learn. My family went on tons of road trips when I was a kid, and the way I remember road trips when I was a kid is I would wake up, the bags were packed, they were all in the car, and we drove away. That was a road trip, right? So we're married, we have kids, and I'm like, hey, let's go for a road trip. And in my head, it's gonna take about 30 minutes to get ready to go. Correct. But that's because my experience with the road trip was we got up and went. But that was because so much preparation had happened ahead of time that I was just unaware of, right? And so, hey, those boring things gotta happen so that you can actually get on to the better stuff.
It's part of the magic of being a kid, though, too. That things just magically appear and everything's great and we have everything we need because mom carries it all for you.
Right. One of my favorite memes I saw about that was, my favorite thing I miss about childhood is teleporting. You fall asleep on the couch and wake up in your bed. We know that. This one they do so good, right? There's a lesson that needs taught. They don't just bring that, like, sit down and talk about it. We get some dinner table scenes, and I think a lot of my, like, life lessons happen over the dinner table talking. When the healers have a life lesson, they make a game and play the game. And that's their life lesson, right? You know the Daddy Robot a little bit better. How's that one go for the life lessons you play?
Well, so Daddy Robot, the kids don't want to clean up the playroom. And so they decide to make Daddy Robot do it for them. And they think it's great. They get to relax sitting on their little couch while he does all of the work. But then he messes with them, so he tries to teach a lesson. So he plays and he starts cleaning up, but then he starts to malfunction and have issues, and he's like, it's because you didn't treat me right, and this isn't my job, and like, I don't know how to explain all of it, but he makes it a game, and by the end of the episode, the kids are like, oh, Daddy Robot, you sit down and we'll clean up the room. And so he was able to parent and get them to do what he wanted, but they had fun doing it and understood it themselves.
Yeah, totally true. And again, it took, what, 4 minutes of playing the game for the kids to actually get into it. Yeah. Bad mood, I like that one in how it shows that. Bingo's in her bad mood. And so bad, it makes it a game. Yeah, we're going to have a little bit more to clean up afterwards, but the kid's going to be a lot happier, and at the end of it, is going to have learned something more than just... Do the healers ever raise their voice at their kids, right? They never have yelled at their kids in frustration. How dare you? Don't do that.
At least not in front of the camera, right?
See that. But, I mean, if we take the idea that that Bluey is the kids reimagining and remembering what happened in their childhood, they don't remember their parents ever yelling at them. Right? So that's huge. I like this one, midnight, don't squash dreams. Every night through midnight, Bluey asks, hey, when I grow up, can I be a scientist? Can I be an inventor? Can I be a bin lady? And they never ever squash any of those dreams. Well, you know, a bin lady doesn't make very much money. Well, you know, a scientist, you have to study for so long. Well, you know, an inventor, only 1 in 2,000 inventions actually. They don't do any of that, right? If you want to, you can do it. And I thought that was really great of letting their imagination for their life actually move forward. Be affectionate in front of your kids. This one's huge. What's your favorite episode?
Moochie Kiss.
Moochie Kiss.
There are children. Wait.
Exactly. That is the point.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies that have been shown now that the biggest things that help your children is seeing the affection between the parents, and it makes them feel safe and know that they're going to be loved forever when their parents are loved. It gets a lot of peace and safety for your kids. That was a new one for Chili. Yeah, just that some of the things that aren't so pretty, you know, like you love them anyway. It's not all roses and beautiful dates and vacations. It's, you know, sweaty, dirty, stinky things in life you have to deal with.
Well, and it's also, your kids are there and it's in front of your kids, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, yeah, it's okay for the kids to see mommy and daddy kiss. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of Daddy Robot, they kiss, and you just see Bluey and Bingo just so happy. They're just like I want that, and that's so nice, you know. So I just love how you see them look at their parents in it too. So it's a great thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. Make time for self-care, right? Again, we can't be our best parents unless we're taking care of ourselves as well. Right, what do they say on an airplane? If their cabin happens to depressurize, put on your mask first, right? You have to be able to have enough energy, have your own self-presence to take care of that. And I like on the beach, Chili goes on her walk down the beach. That's her self-care. That's what she means. That's how she's going to enjoy her beach time, and she makes the time for that.
She has her own hobby. She goes and plays field hockey with her sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So they're able to do that, and just to keep up your own hobbies makes you, I think, a better parent. Makes you more well-rounded.
Yep, I agree. Sadly, Bandit hasn't played touch football in a while. He hasn't played rugby in a while.
He needs to too, right?
Yeah, he does. Bandit needs some self-care. All right, so there's our first 10. We made 20 bullet points that we identified. So here's our second set. Staying patient. Christy, I think yours was great on barbecue.
So I hadn't noticed the first time that I watched through barbecue, but when I was like watching it, thinking about this panel, all the kids are over there trying to make salad and cook hot dogs, and they're all doing it pretend as the adults are cooking hot dogs and actually making the real food. So they're doing a copycat of them, but as Bingo is going around trying to get her ingredients, she runs by Bandit, and she knocks over his drink like 4 or 5 times in the episode. And like, things like that with kids happens once, you're like, ugh, be more careful, you know, please, you know, don't run right here, or whatever. But I'm thinking as a parent, if that happened 5 times, there would be a talking to. I would be like, you do not come here, you know, like, you have spilled my pop in this or whatever, and I would probably get really frustrated and raise my voice a little bit. But no matter what it was, like, he was disappointed, he was like, hey! But then he didn't yell at her, there wasn't this big blow up over it. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of patience on its side not to have raised your voice at all right there.
True that. But isn't that at the end of that same one where Bingo lets the hose go and it soaks everyone down, or is that a different episode?
I think so.
Yeah. So knocks over the water 4 or 5 times, knocks over the juice, and then sprays everyone down with the hose. And kids will be kids, and they're doing their thing, and we can be patient through that. That was really good. Isn't that true? Be the kind of person you want your child to become. Which I think is so much of where these lessons come from, right? Be patient so that your kids see really good examples of patience. Be affectionate so your kids see really good examples of affection. Say sorry so your kids see that as a thing to be, right? If we're going to be our kids' role models, be the role model we want for the kids.
And in that episode, there's an episode called Copycat, and there's also the barbecue, where they literally are copying what the other is doing, what their parent is doing.
Oh, true.
And so, if you don't want your kids to be, you know, yelling at each other, swearing, eating cookies for breakfast, well, maybe you shouldn't eat cookies for breakfast, or any of those other things. So just how important, because they literally are just always watching you. So just how important that is.
Yeah. Again, barbecue, acknowledging their contribution. At the very end, they've made all of it. You remember it better. You wrote it down. Go ahead.
At the end, they were all excited for the sausages. They're like, yeah, who's ready for a sausage? And they're like, yeah! And Bingo the whole time had been working on a salad. And so she's like, what about the salad? And everyone goes like, oh yeah, thank you for the salad, you know? So like, it just shows that like, a lot of work gets put into different things and to make sure to acknowledge them. But like, not really contribution, but especially acknowledging your kids. You see that, I forget the name of the episode, but Bingo is trying to do a handstand.
Handstand.
And it's called handstand. I love the names of the episodes. And the entire thing, all she wants is somebody to watch her do this handstand. And no one will give her the time of the day, even though everything they're doing is for her. It's her birthday. So it's just remembering, you know, just watch them for like 10 seconds. We can all give 10 seconds. That's not very much time, and it means the world to your children. It means the world to anybody, really. Eye contact, validation. It means the world to any relationship you're in.
Yeah. I guess we didn't really say at the beginning. So we have 4 kids. One turns 7 next month. So we have 6, 5, almost 2, and 6 months. So we have 4 kids. And especially the older 2, the younger 2 can't talk. But the older 2, they'll do something. They'll make a Lego creation. They'll make a drawing. Daddy, can you look at this? And I am on my way out the door to go to work. Yes, I can. It will take 4 seconds, and I will still make it to work just fine. Show me the drawing, show me the Lego thing, and then let's go on from there. Ooh, bike. I like bike. Bluey's mad. Bluey can't figure out how to ride the bike. Bluey's like, I'm done with this bike. I love Bandit's reaction. He's not like, well, you get up and try again. And that would be the very, mean dad thing to do, right? Well, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, it matters how many times you get back. He doesn't go to that. He's like, okay, let's watch everyone else and see what they're doing. And they watch all the other kids figure out all their other challenges until at the end, seeing everyone else overcome has helped Bluey overcome and take her own time to figure it out. Making routines fun.
I just think it's so important. We have routines you have to do every single day. We have the bedtime routine, as we know, can always be a power struggle between parent and child, and it can take hours. Even though you think it should take 10 minutes, it takes 2 hours instead. We have brushing our teeth, getting out the door, so many things that little tricks, little games makes them go smoother so that it doesn't become a power struggle. So, in Sticky Gecko, yeah. Chili wants Bingo to brush her teeth. And so what she does, she just grabs her phone and puts a timer. I don't even know if she did a real timer. She just pretends and go, be as fast as you can. And that gets the kids excited, they want to race her, they want to have, games to who can do things the fastest and want to win. And so that just makes them want to do it instead of being forced to do it and then fighting against it. So really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who felt seen as a parent in Sticky Gecko? I mean, yeah, we know those moments. The door is right there. All we have to do is walk through it. Yes, Chili, we know.
Or you break down and you just say, we're just never going to go anywhere again. You ever felt that way? I feel that way a lot getting to a place like the park. It's very hard.
It's so true. It's so true. Takeaway I think is interesting is one of the few episodes that explicitly gives its lesson. He opens up the fortune cookie. Daddy, what does it say? Flowers may bloom again, but a person never has a chance to be young again. And even Bandit has to remember that, right? Bandit needs to remember, oh yeah, I need to let my kids have their youth. Get in the shower. It's shower time. Which I think also goes back to, being present and being fully engaged and being willing to go silly and fun with them. This is the one time. I sometimes hate the whole they'll only be young once. You'll miss this when they're older. But you can give the 2 minutes and have the fun right Bob Bellamy, right? Oh, it's so boring, everything they did.
So I feel like you're always told as a parent, you know, like, we don't give our kids screen time. You shouldn't give your kids screen time. Sure, we all know, like, maybe we shouldn't, or maybe not as much, whatever. And, you know, like, I'm all about survival. You do how you can survive, right? And so, like, my kids are on screens as we're doing this panel right now, so they're not running them up going crazy, you know? I think everything has a place and a time for it. But this episode shows that when they were on screens all day, I mean, they weren't doing other, like, fun activities, memorable activities. And so if you want your kids to have good memories while they're little, they need to be bored and, like, figure out things to do, to be creative, to play in the dirt, things like that, instead of being on screens all day. Obviously the healers, you see them do play in the dirt and all those other things. But it just shows, hey, if they really are on screens all day, they're missing all those other opportunities to do other things and learn lessons. So it's a great, like, bringing that modern piece that we all know we should do as parents and bring it into why.
Well, I think one of the great things on Bob Bilby is when it's time to put all the electronics away, they all put all the electronics away. To the point that the rest of their pictures, Bandit goes and gets his old Polaroid because he's not just taking away the kids' tablets. Everyone off screens, let's go have 3 hours of real fun with no screen. I'm taking Polaroid photos so that I'm not even using my phone as the screen. And I definitely sometimes feel guilty on that one. We just told the kids, hey kids, get off the tablets, it's time to be done. And like 20 seconds later, I'm watching a video on Facebook. I'm like, what am I doing? Ooh, inclusive play. So, hotel, Bandit's checked into the hotel, and he actually, I think this is another one, he didn't want to play the game. He had something else he needed to go do, right?
Yeah, Jillian asked him to clean up the room while she took a shower.
Right, yes. There's no clean room at the end. And Bluey and Bingo want to play hotel, so they go and play hotel, and then Bingo keeps asking, can I be a crazy pillow? And Bluey keeps saying no. Until finally Bingo runs away. Right? And Bandit's alright, game over. This is the only reason we're doing this is for us all to play together and for you two to play together. I'm not just playing with you, Bluey, we're doing this whole thing together. And then it wasn't just the inclusive play, but Bluey, you gotta go figure this out. Cool. Encouraging bravery, do you want to talk anything about that?
I just think it's really great that to give your kids a chance to be brave, because life has lots of scary things, job interviews, talking to somebody for the very first time. There's just so many situations that you're going to be in that are going to be uncomfortable, that it's going to be out of your comfort zone, that you're going to have to be a little bit brave for. And so to make sure your kids have those experiences to be brave young, I think is really important. And Pirates, they try to do that, not with their own kids. Their kids were totally fine with it, but they had their little friend with them that didn't want to play the game. The game was too scary for her, or whatever. And even though she was scared, they're like, oh, it's okay. But they kept on trying to include her in the play. Even though, you know, she didn't want to do it, every time they're like, you get calm again? Okay, now come in. And now, oh, you got scared again? Well, let's try again. Can you be brave? So I think they not only raise their own children, but other children as well. And I think that's a great thing to keep in mind, whether you're a caregiver, an aunt and uncle, is that you can help children grow in those ways as well, not just as a parent.
Love it. Who remembers the little girl's name? I can't remember her name.
Snowball?
The Snowball? Missy. Thank you. Mom school ends. Mom, did I fail as a mom? Yes, you did. And I love that part as well. Chili didn't sugarcoat. What happened? Oh no, it's totally fine. No, like, you let all your kid balloons fly away and they're gone. You really did.
Only one.
That's right. But we can try again tomorrow. And I like that lesson so much. Both sides of that, right? Yeah, you did fail, but that isn't, you are a failure. No, tomorrow you get to go again. And I think she'll even in that one as well acknowledge sometimes I fail as a mom too. And I'm sorry about that. All right, there's our 20 things that we specifically identified from them. We had a couple other characters we wanted to talk about and how they interact with the kids. The friend's dads, Lucky's dad. Lucky's dad's the greatest kid's neighbor you could ever have. Right? Like, sometimes I feel like I should aspire not just to be a better bandit, but to be a better Pat. Right? Like, the neighbors' kids are going crazy and playing their game. What's my best thing to do here? Play the game with the neighbors' kids. And he's in. I love, which one of the new episodes with him? The emu. Dad's the emu. Sean. And Sean goes crazy, and Sean attacks Pat. And Pat says, "Oh no, Sean's got me." He's in, and he's in immediately and completely.
He even knows the fake name of the emu. It's impressive as a neighbor. Do you know your neighbors?
Yes.
Yeah, do you know like your neighbors' games that they play with their kids that you can join in on that level? I think that's something we can all aspire to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then we already talked about Frank a little bit, Chloe's dad, right? I think he has one of the saddest lines in all of Bluey. Chloe says, "You're not as fun as Big Bluey's dad." You're right, I'm probably not. I feel that, right? I'm not as fun as Bluey's dad. But then he doesn't take that and just say, "Yep, I guess I'm a sucky dad." All done. No, he says, "My girl needs this. I can't play it like Bluey's dad. I've tried 4 times, and I can't. What can I do to make sure I'm engaging my daughter in a way that she will have that fun?" And we talked about it a little bit. I think it's so great that does that.
And that's okay. Like, he's more of an intellectual. Like, Bandit's hands-on, and he wants to read about it and learn and do things on an intellectual level. And there's all sorts of personalities, and that's great. And so he does it his way, and I think that we should learn how to be the best version of ourselves. We don't have to do it Bandit's way. You don't have to do it how your parents raised you. You need to do the best that you can do. Calypso! She's such a good character. Some of the things we want to emphasize about the character of Calypso is you just think of the song she sings in the music she hums in the episode Calypso. It's very, very calming, and I feel like it sets a tone for an entire class. Everyone's able to be calm and more patient and play better because of that atmosphere that she creates. That whether she learned to do that herself, that she's really trying to project that, or if that just is innate in her, we don't know. But either way, I think it's powerful. She also does a lot of that inclusion play. She goes around to all of the kids and she finds like, "Hey, they're building a house. You guys look grand. Maybe you can move in with them. Oh, they're trying to sell fish and chips at Bluey's shop, but they're out of fish. Well, somebody's fishing over there." And she kind of gets them all to play together. When all their games were separate, they ended up being one giant game with each other and including them. And I think that's amazing. If you can do that with, your classrooms that you might be over, your children, whatever it is, that's a great way to think about it. Just little things like that. You want to talk about stories?
Ooh, stories. The new episode with Calypso, I love stories so much. And it's such a jarring episode. You're watching it, so then it's like, plays the credits, right? So let's see, who starts it? It's, who's the girl? Who's the main girl in it?
Indy, yeah.
Indy, yeah. And Calypso says, "And then Indy was sad the rest of the day." The end. And it plays the credits. What? I mean, I know Bluey episodes are short, but that was really short. Oh, and then I don't like the story to end that way. Me neither. But it's your story. You get to choose how it ends. You get to choose how you get there. That is such a great way to help the kids in their own emotional knowledge, right? Like, if you don't like how you're feeling right now and how your story's ending right now, do you want your bedtime to end with you screaming because whatever? No, I don't like feeling like this. Then you have to be the one to fix that. Yeah, I think that was awesome.
Yeah, it's very empowering, and I feel like all of us could use more of that. I've been learning more just about boundaries and things like that. I don't know if you've read anything about boundaries in books, but it's all about empowering yourself and that no one else can choose to make you feel bad about yourself or feel a certain way. It's like you have control over that and how huge that is, and freeing to everyone else too. Your spouse is being like, oh no, if I'm not home at 5 o'clock, she's going to be angry with me. It's just like, no, what? If I'm not home, she's a big girl, she'll take care of it. It's freeing for everyone in your life. So yeah, empowering. Help empower your children, empower yourself.
The other thing I love in stories is Winton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stories is my kid's favorite episode at this point.
And then Winton, poof. Oh, Winton.
Crying rainbows and all the things. I don't know all the things he does, but it's great.
It's pretty great. So, who thinks are the healers perfect parents? No. You're right, good answer. We just said 20 awesome things about the healers. That could have been, yeah, healers! There are definitely some things. I love how Bluey just shows real, right? Bluey isn't just, my parents are perfect. No, there's also a couple things. So we have one slide there, and I forgot to put the animation, but that's fine. Pavlova, I think, was the first one that I was like, ooh, little bit of a, it's pushing it. Pavlova was, I think, the first one I saw that I was like, ooh, little bit of a miss there, Bandit. Chili said, no, you cannot have the Pavlova. And Bandit said, I'm going to go play a game, and if they win the game, they get to have the Pavlova. I'm like, one of the big things all the parenting stuff says, you got to be a team, and if one says no, the other also has to go with that no. You don't get to roll over that and change it. So that one anything else on that?
I know that Spencer very much cares about that, and he was angry at the end. He's like, that was not a good message. And I'm like, all right, anti-message episodes. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I was also mad at Omelet. And what she didn't remember, we were talking about it again last night, she didn't remember that this is Bandit's birthday. Omelet to me is the anti-sheepdog. Sheepdog, he shows up and Chili's like, I need 20 minutes. And he goes and gives her the 20 minutes. Omelet, Chili says, I'm going to make you breakfast in bed, and Bingo just screws the whole thing up. And it's like, oh, if you're just doing a nice gesture, that was one thing. If it was me and Bingo are going to go make you breakfast, that's one thing. But that one was hard to me because it made the child relationship more important than actually fulfilling the promise and the obligation on the spouse level. I was not a fan there. Other people probably have other thoughts there. I wasn't a fan on that one. If we can move through this one faster, we can probably get to a couple comments. So, kids need autonomy of their things, and we need to listen not just to what they're saying, but how we think they might actually be. We feel such pressure to say yes, when we sometimes really mean no, especially when it's our thing. Of course, Bandit really blew over Bluey in obstacle course. Don't cheat! What? It's a 6-year-old! Why? Why did you need to? Yeah, but I see that on sometimes like the dad Facebook page, right? Did you let your kids win? Sometimes you need to. Sometimes it's not the winning right now, especially if you have to cheat. No. Pirates, the other thing, your kids' feelings about your play is really more important than feeling the embarrassment and whatever. The kid needs to play full out right now, play full out right now. And maybe you'll feel a little bit awkward, but probably the best thing that you'll get out of that is the other parent that you're feeling awkward about around will probably think, wow, I wish I could step up like Bandit. Right? Like, that would have been a great one.
And of course you ride.
Yeah.
The cousins come over and the Shelly and Trixie leave. And they told her, hey, your cousins are coming over, put away your special toys. And so Bluey goes and tries to do that. She's gonna go put her toy away in her room, and Bandit comes up and eats her like a watermelon and distracts her. She drops it on the ground and forgets about it. And then the cousin ends up getting it and tries, tearing it apart. And they're like, why did you put your toy away? It's like, I was, but you distracted me. And it's like, oh, that's my bad, as parents, sometimes we ask them to do something, and sometimes we give them 2 or 3 things to do at the same time, and we're the problem of why they couldn't just get what we originally asked them done. So, and then games going too far. I'm all for how into all the pretend that Bandit is, but I think that we can go too far with it. So in a fancy restaurant, they are eating some
Fancy food, gelatin.
some food that Bingo put together, just like a bunch of huge food of all sorts of different types. And the good lesson from that is that Bandit took it like a man. His wife was supposed to eat it, and he's like, oh, can I have your food? It looks so good. And so he saved his wife from having to eat it, which was very chivalrous of him. But at the same time, he ate it and ended up throwing up at the end of the episode. I don't know about you, but I don't want to play any game with my kids. I'm going to end up throwing up at the end. That's too far for me. And so I think it's okay to say no. There are healthy no's to say no to for your children, and I think that's one of them.
And then Rug Island as well, the rugby ball comes over, right? And most of the time, Pat, Lucky's dad, is really into the game. This time, Lucky's dad was playing rugby with Lucky. That was the game there. And Bluey and Bingo were really hurt that Bandit wasn't willing to, didn't want to let them keep the ball. But it wasn't their ball to keep. It was Lucky's, it was Pat's ball. And he pushed that. And maybe it was because of his relationship with Pat at work, but yeah, definitely things out a bit too far. But
normally that would not work with your neighbors if you weren't as close as Pat is with the Healer family.
So yeah, definitely some things healers could be better on, but again, they show the real, and that's awesome. But for the most part, they're awesome parents. They show us so many good lessons. Let me get back to the beginning here. Cool. So we have 5 minutes. If anyone has any comments, any thoughts, any questions, we have a microphone here for a couple more minutes before they're going to shut us down.
Yeah, I would love to hear if you have any parenting advice that you learned yourself.
Would you just mind introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about you?
So I'm Spencer.
I'm Kristina. We're the Farrises.
And yeah, we have 4 kids. Like I said, oldest is almost 7, youngest is 6 months old. We homeschool. We put them in a few other classes for them to be involved in.
And right now we live in very close-knit space where we live in a trailer on 4 acres of land as we're building our house. So we live in very close quarters, and you have to be, know how to communicate so that you don't have yelling in a small space. Good.
That might be in a bit of a minority that I'm not a parent. I'm kind of like an Aunt Wendy. I think the show also kind of helps like someone like me with a rough childhood, kind of helps heal that inner child too. Like, Banner reminds me so much of my father, who I lost as a child. And my mom didn't really handle it well, so she really kind of was like the mom I wish I had. So it's like, I cry almost every episode, but it's healing at the same time. And if I ever, in the future, adopt a child or anything like that, or I have nieces and nephews or something like that, I know how to be with them and not be like coming up to me. So it's kind of good for even someone like me who's not great.
I love that. Yeah. Healing your inner child and letting those feelings go. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I did like 3 5-year-old niece from
Alright, before my question, I just have to say, like, I haven't ever felt as seen as a parent as I do with you guys having your kids come up, but, just like trying to take care of them and trying to do your job at the same time, yeah. But my question is, what episodes do you like your kids, like, I guess you guys said the stories. Before stories came out, what was the episode they wanted to watch again and again and again?
Good question. I feel like my daughter's been watching the pool a lot. No, not the pool, the swim lessons, where they, I don't know, they pretend to be a swim instructor, and I don't know why she has hooked on to that one, but she loves that episode.
I don't know how to know your answer right now. I can't think. I'm sorry. It's a great question. I wish I could think of the previous favorite.
I like the one of my favorites is Fairies, where Bingo actually does raise his voice to Bingo because he's trying to take a work call, trying to get stuff sorted, and Bingo's
Oh, that's true. I love that.
leg trying to get his attention. And that's where the fairies come up, because the fairies are summoned because they did something negative in his house.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
So I'm also not a parent, just a very lucky aunt. So one of my favorite life lessons from Bluey, one of my favorite episodes is Early Baby, and the lesson it teaches that there are different types of courage.
Yes.
Because you have the knight that's going to slay the dragon, and that's horribly terrifying. You have the princess that is sacrificing herself for her kingdom, and the one that hits home the most is I work in the NICU, and so I love the mom that has to leave her baby overnight. I see that every day with the parents that I work with, and it truly is bravery. So that one often makes me tear up because there's so many difficult things we face, and people are like, is this, really bravery? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I love that episode.
That's really good. Thank you. All right, last one, then we're closing up.
So, I don't have any kids out in high school, but
A little closer.
I don't have any kids because I'm in high school, but
Okay,
I
good.
got two little sisters who basically are exactly like Bluey and Bingo.
Okay.
And for me at least, the show has really helped me build a stronger relationship with them and be able to have a positive, basically a positive kind of situation. And I'm just wondering, what do you guys think it is about Bluey that makes it easier for parents to raise their kids more?
I mean, I think it is that it is so real, that it shows all those different phases, and it's not a moralistic show. So I watch something like Daniel Tiger, and Daniel Tiger is very clearly pushing a lesson in every single episode, which is good and teaches really good coping mechanisms and really good emotional intelligence stuff. Bluey just shows you life and good ways to deal with life without. It's not a fable, right? Aesop's fables, right? Yeah, there's no guilt, there's no fable built into it. It's just life and good parents dealing with life, usually in good ways, and even when they're poor ways, you can usually see them overcome it. So I just think it's the reality of the situations we see there.
I would also add that when you see some of these situations come up, you're like, oh, I've been there before. And so it gives you different strategies to think about when they come up again, because a lot of the same problems come up day after day.
Yeah, that's true. It's so darn relatable in so many of the situations. It's not this abstract thing. It's this situation that I have dealt with or will likely deal with in the future is really hard. So I hope we can all take a little bit more advice from the cartoon dog. Thank you for coming.